This is state of play, and the state of play today is really around Parliament. And as you know, Parliament is bracing for another showdown. Yesterday there was a very interesting showdown on the floor over the 2024 budget. Whether or not it was approved, it's a big question. Finance Minister say it has been approved. Minority say it hasn't been approved. But that's a conversation we'll come to because it's a very exciting thing about to unfold. But we didn't advertise that, but we need to talk about it. Today I was having conversations with people, right? I mean, people in the judiciary, in the GBA, and everybody was talking about the special prosecutor's press conference yesterday. I think it's unprecedented. When Martin Amidu was there, his beef was with the politicians, right? I mean, it was with the politicians, the appointing authority. This time we have a special prosecutor whose beef is with the judiciary. But not only the judiciary, he's talking about judges, and I get the sense he knows those judges, the judges who have, sort of had his cases. Well, I don't know what you guys think about it. I think it's a very serious, occurrence that needs some attention.
Especially when judges have been taking a beating more recently, from Afro-Atta through to former President Mahama, especially when it's coming from a man of his kind, Kishia Jabe, because he's not partisan and he's not politician. The understanding is that this is a man we have actually been given powers to actually fight corruption on our behalf. If he mentions your name, Evans, as impeding his fight against corruption, you become public enemy number one, because he has a certain support, especially civil society groupings who have all the years thought that his office is where he should be using to fight corruption. That's what makes it a bit elevated an issue. So if somebody sat down and did not even believe in the perception that judges can be a bit of a problematic grouping, or may not act in the interest of what we consider to be collective interest of the state, in this case fighting corruption, and the man says they are putting impediments in his way, it means that the person's perception of judiciary will be terrible, will be that even when we are sought to use independent institutions to help us fight this, you are the ones becoming the problem. But you're supposed to aid their work, not disrupt their work rather. What the person will be missing, which people would accept, which Kishia Jabe did not say openly, is that there is the expectation that you will do your work and I will do my work. And judges are not necessarily always supposed to suit one side, regardless of how great that is. So, Evan, if I am pursued by you, the special prosecutor, my expectation is that the judge who is independent of you, the special prosecutor, will come to my aid, because I'll go to plead with them. In the same way, if it comes from the executive, if it comes from even Parliament, I can ask a court to set aside the actions of other people. In fact, judicial review is used in the UK a lot for a simple reason, that the conduct of a public officer, no matter which form, be it special prosecutor or the Attorney General, they can err. They have the powers of the state behind them, or some powers from the state. They have wonderful machinery of the state. They have investigative powers. They also have machines that I, the individual, do not have. So a court will protect my interest too, but that court is supposed to examine the two sides and make a determination on what is right or what is wrong. I think where we are, the man's statement basically painted not only the judges he's referring to, the judiciary in the eyes of the public as, well, these people have added up to the people who are not fighting the corruption themselves, but also are impeding someone else's fight against corruption. That's how serious it is.
You see, and listening to Daniel Domelevo this morning on the Super Morning Show, as we spoke with him, Raymond, he makes a lot of points, and he talks about the fact that you have different schools of thought here and there, but he believes that even though his confidence when it comes to the judiciary is low, it was a general statement. If you were to dig deeper, you realize that not all of these justices could be in cahoot with the government or with politicians to thwart the efforts of the special prosecutor. This is it for me. And I said something this morning on the Super Morning Show. One of the things I've learned from Chachu Chikata, if I were a lawyer, I would do, is I would follow it up to the last stage. Okay? And we saw him do it. At every instance, he wants to exhaust every opportunity available to him.
At best, that's how you can complain.
Yes. So if you've exhausted all of it, so I am saying that, look, I'm happy the special prosecutor says, though he's frustrated, he's not going to resign. He must work. He must fight. Okay? He has the independence guaranteed by the act establishing his office. He should stick to the fight, and he should not give up easily. Look, I think at this stage, you've not finished the fight. At this stage, you've not exhausted everything. So let's not go into, you've mentioned 4 cases. Okay. But those 4 cases could go on. You could appeal. You could go to the Supreme Court. You could say, I believe the judge erred. This is why I want this to be done. This is why I want that to be done. I mean, so for me, exhaust the legal processes. Like Raymond makes the point. You see, yes, he makes the point that we are all lawyers. And, this is not, sometimes these are not things of law where you probably may say this and this and this, and we might have different opinions. But this. Look, let me tell you something. You are all lawyers. Somebody is a judge. You are still a lawyer. You are a prosecutor. If that person erred, you can actually point it out to another judge who would look at it and say, you are right. If that judge also says, no, you are wrong, if those appeal court judges sit on the case and they feel that you're wrong, you could go to the Supreme Court. If they feel that you are wrong, then it means that, well, that is it. If after the end of a review, you're unable to get the decision changed, it means that is what is the case.
And for me, the reason why this is what he did yesterday, what the special prosecutor did yesterday at the press conference, it's such a grave matter, is one, the timing. We're just about entering into an election year where everything is contested. But eventually, the ultimate deciders will be the courts, right? We have political parties who, depending on what the court says, have different opinions on the court's credibility. The NDC, we know, they don't like the courts. I mean, they believe the courts have not been credible, etc., etc., and the courts cannot be trusted. Now, so we've been treated to this cacophony over the years. The political parties, when they're in government, seem to love the judiciary. When they're in opposition, they hate the judiciary. So, but we are used to that. What we are not used to is to an independent state institution.
Yes. The head of that.
The head of that institution. Only comparable to the Attorney General's office, SHRAJ, or some other very important, legislative body. Also taking on the judiciary. Not only doing so, but making very fundamental, serious allegations about almost a conspiracy in the judiciary to twat the efforts at fighting corruption. And I think I don't know, the various parties, stakeholders, I mean, like the judiciary itself, the GBA, etc., have not taken the press conference seriously enough. I think by now we should have seen some response. Maybe there's some, and I know this morning there's been meetings. I've been making calls. I know this morning there've been meetings to try and see, okay, how do you respond to this? Because this has been taken, and this is another interesting point for me. The special prosecutor has taken his case from the court of competence jurisdiction to the court of public opinion, right? And that is a very, very dangerous place to take issues.
And he appears to be winning it hands down, adding on to a certain pre-existing perception, which is recently, and I labeled them from, because see,
and the research and survey that has been done.
Exactly. Yeah, the 2019 run is terrible. If you track, and Kwapon, Osai Kwapon, John Osai Kwapon, he has tracked public perception of the judiciary for a very long time. Since the 2000s, at least from the Afro-barometer. All-time low. Trust in the judiciary. So if it's an all-time low, people like Sia Jabin adding their voice in this form worsens that.
In fact, not only worsens it, it could actually be the final straw, because we have not had anybody of his caliber ever make these pronouncements. I mean, in the past, let's count. We've seen Atuguba.
That's true.
Raymond Atuguba. He's an academic.
Yes, and even that, they said that, he worked as executive secretary.
Exactly. So the interest there is there. The motivations could be different, whatever. No matter how legitimate it was, people will have that. Then you have the NDC have done so. We have the MPP when they lost in 2012 in the Supreme Court, 2013, election petition, also do so. But to have, I mean, of course, you have the NDC one time, the Cabinet J says there are many ways of killing a cat. I mean, so we are used to that. This is what we're used to.
And we can dismiss those.
We can dismiss those. But you cannot dismiss what the person has done. And it sets the stage for a very difficult year next year. of course, the NDC is going to be. Yeah, everybody's going to reference that.
If they say,
yeah, everybody's going to reference that.
Judges have done this or that. They say, even the special prosecutor.
Everybody's going to reference.
And and this is the point, Evan, before you continue, and we do it ourselves. So when I interview you and you say something that I like, whenever I want to use that statement, I make reference to you. You said it. And so it's true. Right now, people are going to make reference to it. And that's where you see moving from the courts to the public opinion. I mean, the law courts.
Yeah, to the court of public opinion.
To the court of public opinion sometimes has its own problem. But it's also because of how we have actually our expectations of the special prosecutor. You see, it's like when we discovered oil. All of a sudden, everybody thinks that the establishment of the office of special prosecutor is what should lead in the fight against everything, even sometimes even petty stealing. They want to go and petition the special prosecutor. Things that should be handled by the police. People are petitioning the special prosecutor. You keep people lining up, let's go to the special prosecutor. Let's go to the special prosecutor. So as part of the problem, when the special prosecutor is expected to be leading the fight against corruption and succeeding in that fight, that person also has the feeling that if I do not succeed, people would say I did not perform. But if I believe that people are making it difficult for me, why don't I go out there and mention this? But I say exhaust the court process.
I mean, that's for me, that's where I come to, right? We all know in the judiciary, if you have grievances against a particular judge, beyond appealing, you could actually have recourse to the Chief Justice.
That's true. Yeah, file
a petition to the Chief Justice and say you produce your file.
The special prosecutor has done it before. You recall there was a case that he withdrew at some point, but he actually petitioned the Chief Justice or someone.
He has. But then you have the appeal process. You have all the way to the Supreme Court. I mean, so I believe
you have not exhausted
that to go to the public. It just puts him. We love him, right? Because not him, but we love the institution.
But I even want him to succeed.
Right? Exactly. That's why I say we all want him to succeed. We all want him to succeed. And that is why when he miscalculates, it becomes difficult. And he had double level. You would think that double level, having been to what he went, he would have come and said,
I fully support everything he's doing.
But the line that he said that struck me, he said he should give other institutions the benefit of the doubt until do your work and trust that they are doing their work until you. And then he makes the point actually that one of the primary concerns of the special prosecutor is that he's being stopped from investigating people, and he believes that it's not a judiciary place. It's not the judiciary's place to stop investigative bodies from doing investigation. But Honorable makes a point that sometimes the investigative powers can be abused, and he mentions a specific case where Iyoko, a case of procurement. Yes. Meanwhile, it was part of it, and he had to be bailed. And he said, he went to court to challenge them
and
too.
The court ruled subsequently that Iyoko was abusing his powers and all of that.
Exactly. You see, so that same court.
So there's a precedent.
Exactly. So he mentioned. So when I heard, I'm like, okay. So was such an important voice in this conversation because of you expect that he would join the special prosecutor's bandwagon because he
has problems with the judiciary.
Exactly. Yeah. He hasn't got confidence because of his case that they didn't prioritize the time that he set it for hearing. The matter has long become irrelevant and moot, right? So you expect that. He says, I don't have confidence, but he doesn't agree with the special prosecutor's approach. And I thought that was important. I thought that was very important.
Especially when you were a lawyer. And
he actually makes that point. He said because he's a lawyer.
Yeah, and an officer of the court, the fear is that you protect or your words will carry so much weight. What we can, and you see, some damage is irreparable. Some damage can be abused to the highest level. And I agree with you that we are going to an election year where not only are people going to misuse this, if people even lose election petitions, I already told you, even the special prosecutor fighting corruption doesn't believe in these people.
Yeah.
And even though the special prosecutor selected judges, people can explore, and actually expand this in a way that makes no sense.
For me, this is the problem. In all of this is the problem. The judiciary is the only organ of the state left that people seem to have some level of confidence in. Even though people don't have a lot of confidence in it, some people don't have confidence in it. It's the only one left. Now, if we lose that one, we're losing our democracy.
It was a Supreme Court judge in the UK who said, they as judges, they are the conscience of society.
Yeah.
Being a conscience, even when you know that the person you like is going wrong, being the conscience, you are bound to tell them the truth. Because when people lose their conscience, they then give way to all the ills of society flourishing in very dangerous forms. And that's why sometimes people are asked, in fact, that's why we brought a regime of contempt of courts. It's because that grouping of people ought to be not protected as in nobody should talk about them, but their sanctity should be maintained because the tendency that others will abuse their powers are high. So that as the checks and balances go, if somebody like special prosecutor is abusing the power, it's the judiciary that should stop that. If Parliament is abusing their power, we end up with the judiciary. If the executive president of the republic is abusing his power, we will end up with the judiciary. It is because of these things that there are checks and balances. What the special prosecutor has done is add up to a long list that's going to affect the reputation of the judiciary for a very long time. I am suggesting they should come out. They should come and set the record straight and explain their side. Because as we speak now, silence is not golden in this moment.
I agree with you.
Because as we speak now, a lot of damage is being done to that institution.
That's the beginning of the problem. But when you start drawing the judiciary into this, and I am saying that today, mention the executive. Can you say, don't mind them, they are corrupt. Mention Parliament. So Parliament
is the weakest link.
The weakest link. Now, the only one is the judiciary. At least people go there and get justice.
Because the presumption was that recruitment was based on a certain level of meritocracy and the competence of people are the ones making.
That's the only one left. And look, I spoke to somebody who says, a senior person who says, I also go to court and I lose my cases. Sometimes I don't understand. But hey, that's the nature of our job. You won't win all the time. And you don't have to. Exhaust the process. Exhaust the process. So I want to see the special prosecutor succeed. I'm happy he's not going to resign. He should exhaust the legal process.
Yeah, okay. Let's make a transition quickly because there's something brewing in Parliament. That's what we advertise. So let's get there. So the Parliament and the budget. What at all again with this 2024 budget, right? So we are at a situation now where, from what I'm reading from what is happening in Parliament, the majority leader is in now, but yesterday, as you know, the majority boycotted the sittings. Well, as far as they're concerned, the thing had been approved after the voice vote, and the speaker says, "I think the ayes have it," right? And then the controversy, all hell broke loose. So today they were expecting Showdown Part 1 or Part 2. Now the House is still empty. Largely, the minority side is in the House, but I also see now that the initial thought was that the majority would have boycotted the thing again because obviously they're not in the House. But I've seen that the majority leader, majority chief whip, deputy majority whip are all now in the House.
Where are the rest?
They're not there. But I think what's going to happen is they're possibly going to raise quorum, wouldn't they?
Well, it makes sense. You know, I spoke to an MP. I was trying to get him for around 6 p.m. The MP told me that I'm on my way to National Farmers Day. I didn't get the point. But you remember Parliament. If they're going to take your vote today, it means that essentially numbers matter. But, you know, he didn't give me the impression that Parliament is of essence to him or he's even heading in that direction today. Which is an indication, as you're saying, that they may boycott that Parliament. But somebody will be there to at least represent the side and ensure that there is no proper sitting. And that when you raise these legitimate issues of quorum, but what quorum do they need? It's not wanted to start Parliament.
That they have.
Subsequently, for the numbers, proper numbers.
For decisions.
And what has happened before is that if nobody raises quorum, Parliament goes on the regularity principle.
Exactly.
So they will proceed with activities. So somebody should be there to say, I'm raising the quorum one. Because it is still clear in the minds. And you heard two things. Yesterday, the finance minister, after all the Bureau came out to say that, so far as I'm aware, I heard the ayes have it, and I think the budget has been approved. We thank God. We are moving on. Then he did his usual talk.
No, you will know whether the budget has been approved or not, but it's not been approved.
And you get the other side. You get the other side of the majority.
But yeah, anyway, today
it's not been approved.
It hasn't because today in the other paper.
Because in the other paper,
the other paper says that.
Yes, because you see, the speaker said, "Okay, let's do a head count." We saw it, and then the majority. And then the speaker said, "The chaos and everything." He's a gen sitting. So yes, you may say, but the speaker admitted the challenge and the call for a head count. So that stands, and that's something that can happen today. Well, okay, let me just say. I mean,
they are disputed. So, I mean,
well, if that's disputed, fine. Let's leave it as it is. But again, look, you know you're going to approve the budget. You know you have 138 members. You know Alban Suman and Kingsford Bagby is in the house. So all your members can show up. Why? Why don't you marshal all your resources? The people who are in the states.
Is it minority or majority?
The majority.
I mean,
but yesterday they admitted they had 3 of their members.
No, I'm saying this failure.
3 of their members where?
Evans, 2 years ago, you brought us to the same position.
No, but I have a question. Sorry, forgive me. So if the budget has not been approved, right, and the approval process is what should trigger now, why is the majority boycotting it?
Because they are going to act on the presumption it has been approved. They have no business doing the house again, and they are
but I get it.
Trigger that.
But if remember that the order paper is planned, the business committee.
They'll correct it.
How?
No, they'll correct it. You brought another paper. They'll raise this point on the floor that what we understood was that this is what was supposed to happen. This point you have raised there, they correct it all the time. It's the quest to correct, which will generate another debate.
Yeah, but you see, so
they'll stay to 4-5 p.m.
What happened yesterday?
It becomes a controversial point.
The speaker says,
yes,
he admits.
You are right. The speaker also said, I watch it fully, but it is politics. What they're going to do is not only stall the process, they are also going to raise subsequent problems with it till
because
everybody is angry that we are doing.
Look, let me tell you something. There's one thing I understand in all of this, and I can understand even the speaker's attitude.
Yeah.
You are under an IMF program. You need a few things done for all of us, and we have all admitted.
And by speaker's attitude, what you are really saying is that how come in previous times the speaker allowed the vote when a side boycotts, and yesterday
and this time around, yes,
you quoted a section of the standing order that said that there's chaos. One part just said, where's the chaos?
So that's actually my point. Thank you for yes. I mean, I'd assume that people knew that is it. But thank you for that's my point.
Which is what?
The fact that the speaker in previous sittings had indicated that if you boycott, we'll take the vote because you were part.
Yeah.
By boycotting doesn't mean the House doesn't have the numbers to take a decision. So the speaker would have gone ahead based on his previous rulings. But this is the point. We know we are an IMF program. We know that today we are negotiating. The last thing you want is bad press. The last thing you want is that your budget has not been approved. The last thing you want is that your budget has been rejected.
So we are saying that the speaker has given the majority a second chance.
Yes, that's what I see happening.
He extended it to them,
giving them a second chance. And
if he allowed that vote to go through yesterday, and the majority lost, and budget is rejected again. You remember? You don't forget to.
But if that's the case, then the majority guys are not returning the favor. Because they're not in the house.
They will return the favor when their members come.
Yes.
That's what I suspect they want to do. Tomorrow they will not sit. So Monday when they sit, their members will have.
But they need a budget.
They need a budget. No, they will sit till midnight. They will sit till midnight.
No, remember that there's an IMF program that hinges on this.
That's IMF.
The first review.
The IMF. The IMF project program too. The problem is with the official creditors.
No, it's true. But this.
Odo pass this one. Odo pass it.
Yeah, but the timing is key.
No, pass it. The time we've missed the time. We've missed the board meeting timing.
Government that is giving the timing that
we've missed the timing already.
Let's be fair to ourselves. I owe you. I'm coming to plead with you to agree to a certain plan so that I can do some installment payments over a period of time. I am dictating the timing that you should use.
No.
And you too, you are representing a group. You are representing a group. You have to go and sit with them. They agreeing, go through modalities and convince them. But I have been dictating time and telling my people at home that I'm going to. Okay, I'm telling Evans Mensah, I'll sort out Winston. Okay, I'll sort out Winston within 2 years. Yeah. But I know that I don't control that timing. So this false hope I'm giving to Evans Mensah is not founded.
Yeah, and you see, for me, that's the most important thing. You see, in all of this, and that's why you would expect the majority to save all of us the stress.
And do what?
Bring their members to come and vote.
Because they have their members.
Government business is serious business. Then you take, and you see, that's you think that government business is this kind of jokes that you just decide not to show up in parliament and come when some of their members are organizing parties outside the country. They don't know. They should get serious. Backbeat is giving them a lifeline. They should take advantage of it.
So Evans Mensah, yesterday, if they knew of their numbers, you had a problem 2 years ago. How on earth are you going to have another budget approval and don't have the complement of every member in the house?
Yeah.
How on earth are you doing that? Because you know that's what caused the problem 2 years ago. how can you be leadership in Parliament? Then you have a budget approval on this day. You are very much aware. In fact, you are part of what decided what will happen where. Then you don't have a full complement of your people. Why weren't you interested in even pushing this ahead or getting a certain consensus? In any case, let's be quite frank. The minority is demanding that you remove or reduce or whatever the so-called exemptions. No, it's the tax reliefs, and also remove those taxes that they claim you have increased and all of that. Those ones, can't you still have a deal with? What happened to our parliament and negotiations?
You can always remove the tax reliefs today and come back tomorrow.
Why, if you don't have the numbers, why are you going to the world front to insist on putting the vote in the first
You can always come back tomorrow.
Why not repeat history?
But in any case, they should even. Why? Tax reliefs for what? What will be the benefit to the state?
But this is
ECAS.
This is their own budget, and the treatment of the budget doesn't seem to suggest that they're taking this
serious at all.
Seriously. But in any case, these exemptions that the minority have used as the condition, right? I am in agreement.
I'm at a loss as to why it will affect anybody anyway.
It will affect them.
I am in agreement 100% with the minority.
Yes, so the majority should agree.
You're asking for 600. You want 600 million from the IMF, and you're given a tax exemption amounting to more than 400, about 449 million dollars.
You see,
$449 million. It doesn't make sense to me.
They're organizing a party for $450 million or $400 million, and you are borrowing money for $600 million. Any private person
in their home
will try and see, can I cut and use this for this one? At least in the interim. You don't recall that in 2017, one of the things that the President of the Republic of Ghana in the State of the Nation's address flagged was that regime of tax exemptions. He said that those tax exemptions were killing the nation and that we should have a regime that actually scrutinizes that properly before we get to the bottom of this matter and deal with it. The cronyism, all the other elements involved, but they have even published the list. Are you aware that even the likes of Acquah have had difficulties with the list of people we present to Parliament?
I know.
That's why that Committee of Finance have not approved it. If the majority alone agreed, they would have approved it and moved on.
I know. And for me, that's why the minority really have a strong case on this. This is something that they shouldn't have come in the first place. You cannot be giving, I spoke to Ato Forcing, who makes the point, and he showed me the document, so I saw it. It's not something like I believe because he said it. The sort of tax incentives, tax exemptions that were given to the company, some of them had actually long executed the projects for which they were seeking the exemptions, and they've cleared the goods already.
So they want to retroactively.
But the point is that the people can do it.
Yeah, they have finished the project.
They finished it. So why?
And they didn't collapse.
They didn't collapse. They've done it. So why do you still insist $400+ million in this economy?
If they could show proof that giving the $400 million is going to get us 4 times the amount of money in productivity.
But even me, I want to believe.
No.
Yeah.
So that is the case. At least you can say, okay,
let's buy the bullets now.
Let's buy the bullets now and get it later.
But the evidence has not been that they showed any.
So since the evidence is not what we are all expecting, it doesn't hurt. 400 million. Reverse it.
Completely. I mean, for that reason, the budget not. In fact, if this is should be backing the minority's position on that. We cannot save money. Yeah, what's the point? You cannot be expecting
well, I mean, it doesn't look like it will happen today from what I'm seeing. Maybe Monday they'll be able to mash out the
budget.
It wouldn't happen. Let's see what happens on Monday. But let's get serious with the issue of governance in this country.
Yeah.
That's very important. Let's get serious with the business of government.
We forget where we are. We forget that this is a country that just finished a domestic detection program. We are trying to get
that made a lot of us worse off.
Yes. We forget that we are a country that's actually struggling to get out of a very difficult year 2022, 2023 we are basically struggling to make it through. This is a country that's trying to return, or the finance minister said we have turned the corner. This is a country that's going to go to the prosperous years we've had in times past. We are not there yet. Sometimes the decisions we make, we forget our circumstances. We forget that we are at a time where we've had so much difficulty in this country. Inflation went to 54%. Inflation is in the 30s now. We are hoping next year we'll do it to 15%. Some of the decisions we are taking today, they are not so coordinated towards bringing us the prosperity we are looking for in the future. then you ask yourself, what's the point then?
Yeah.
Because are the 45 companies on that list so important, so strategic, that when you don't, if you stop their engagement, it will not affect the budget of this country? Are we willing to throw away that entire, is it golden fowl or so? That's
The further lays the golden
yes. Are we really going to throw that far away because of some small 45 companies? Is that really what we want to do?
Well, listen, enjoy the rest of your evening. See what happens in Parliament.